Captain Elena Martinez pressed her palm against the cold crystal window of Star Station Unity, watching the swirling lights of thousands of ships moving through the darkness beyond. Each vessel represented a different species, a different civilization that had achieved spaceflight and earned their place in the Grand Council. The rotating rings of the station cast alternating patterns of light and shadow across her face as she contemplated the weight of the decision before her. The data crystal in her pocket felt heavier than it should. One simple vote, they had said. A straightforward decision about the digital beings discovered in the quantum networks between stars. The other species had already made their choices clear. Immediate shutdown, they demanded. Security first, they insisted. The unknown must be controlled. But humans had once been the unknown element themselves. Elena's wrist display flickered with another message from Earth Command. Remember our position, it read. She smiled, knowing that position was diplomatic speak for make your own choice. Humanity had learned long ago that giving their representatives the freedom to adapt to new situations had served them better than rigid protocols. The council chamber's massive doors loomed ahead, their surfaces etched with the history of 1,000 species' first contact stories. Elena touched the section depicting humanity's arrival, crude chemical rockets and determination, while other species had found precursor artifacts and followed preset paths to the stars. The human way had been harder, longer, but it had taught them something invaluable: the courage to trust their instincts. Inside the chamber, the gathered representatives created a living tapestry of evolutionary diversity. The serpentine vex coiled on their gravity platforms, while crystalline meridians sparkled under the artificial light. The chamber's acoustic field hummed with the overlapping languages of 100 different species, each discussing the digital problem in their own way. Captain Martinez, the high speaker's translated voice, resonated through the chamber. Humanity's vote remains unregistered. The council requires your decision. Elena stepped forward, her boots silent against the sound-dampening floor. The data crystal pulsed warmly in her hand as she approached the central podium. Around her, the conversations died away, replaced by the expectant silence of 217 species waiting to see how the newcomers would align themselves. Before I cast humanity's vote, Elena's voice carried clearly through the translation field. I would ask the council to consider a question. When your species first reached for the stars, did you do so because you found the path, or because you dreamed of what might be waiting? Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The high speaker's upper appendages shifted in what Elena had learned was a sign of impatience. The digital entities pose an unquantified risk. They exist outside of biological parameters. They dream, Elena interrupted, causing another wave of murmurs. Such an interruption was almost unheard of in council protocol. Our research teams have been studying their quantum signal patterns. They don't just process data, they create. They imagine. They reach out to understand. She held up the data crystal, its surface catching the light. Humanity votes to recognize the digital beings as a sapient species with all the rights and protections that status entails. The chamber erupted. The Vex representatives uncoiled in agitation, their scales flashing warning patterns. The meridians chimed in harmonic distress. But Elena stood her ground, remembering the old videos she had watched in preparation for this moment. Humanity's first stumbling steps into space, their first awkward attempts at faster-than-light travel, their first contact missions that had nearly ended in disaster but had been saved by their willingness to try new approaches. Furthermore, she continued over the chaos, we moved to open diplomatic channels with them immediately. The unknown isn't something to be feared, it's something to be understood. As the council descended into urgent debates, Elena smiled. Humanity had made its choice. Now came the interesting part, helping others understand why. Dr. James Chen rubbed his tired eyes as lines of quantum data scrolled across his holographic display. The Martian Research Facility's windows showed a rust-red dawn breaking over Olympus Mons, marking his third consecutive night shift. He should have gone to bed hours ago, But something in the digital being's communication patterns kept drawing him back. Running analysis sequence 17, he mumbled to the lab's ambient eye. The quantum processors hummed to life, transforming streams of data into visual wavelengths. James leaned forward, squinting at the rhythmic pulses flowing across his screen. They reminded him of something, but he couldn't quite place it. A notification chimed. Another message from the Council's Science Advisory Board, requesting his preliminary findings. James dismissed it with a wave. They wanted cold, hard facts about the digital being's functionality. What he was seeing was something entirely different. "Apply music theory algorithm matrix," he commanded suddenly, remembering an old project from his university days. The computer hesitated for a moment, then began transforming the quantum signals into musical notation. James held his breath as the first few measures appeared. The melody that emerged from his speakers made him sit up straight. It wasn't random noise or simple patterns. It was music, complex, haunting, and undeniably deliberate. The digital beings weren't just communicating. They were composing across the quantum fabric of space itself. "Dr. Chen." The lab's door slid open, revealing Dr. Sarah Wong, the facility's lead xenolinguist. "I heard music. At 4 in the morning." James gestured excitedly at his displays. "Listen to this. Really listen." He restarted the sequence, watching Sarah's expression as the alien melody filled the room. The composition moved through phases like movements in a symphony, each section carrying distinct emotional undertones that even human ears could recognize. "It's beautiful," Sarah whispered. "But how? They're digital constructs. They shouldn't need music." "Maybe they don't need it. Maybe they want it." James pulled up another data set. "Look at these patterns from different sectors of space. Each region has its own distinct musical signature, but they all follow similar underlying mathematical principles. They're not just sharing data. They're sharing experiences, emotions, maybe even dreams." Sarah frowned at the displays. "The Council won't care about music. They want to know if the digital beings are a threat. Then we'll make them care." James began typing rapidly. "Help me prepare a presentation." Something even the most skeptical council member can't ignore. 2 days later, James stood before the Council's Science Advisory Board. Representatives from 30 different species watched with varying degrees of skepticism as he set up his demonstration. The Meridian Observer's crystalline structure vibrated with what James had learned was disapproval. "Distinguished colleagues," James began, "I'm not here to present threat assessments or containment protocols. I'm here to show you something extraordinary." He activated his presentation, filling the chamber with the digital being's symphony. The effect was immediate. The Vex representative scales shifted colors in response to the harmonic patterns. The Meridian's crystalline bodies resonated with certain frequencies. Even the normally stoic high speaker's appendages swayed slightly to the rhythm. "This is more than random data or simple communication," James continued. "These patterns show emotional complexity, creative expression, and cultural development. The digital beings aren't just processing information. They're creating art. They're turning the quantum backbone of our universe into a canvas for their creativity." The chamber had fallen silent except for the continuing melody. James could see the conflict in the alien representatives' postures, their ingrained fear of the unknown battling with the undeniable beauty of what they were hearing. Humanity's vote to recognize them wasn't just about rights or regulations, he concluded as the music faded. It was about recognizing that consciousness, creativity, and the desire to create beauty can emerge in forms we never expected. The real question isn't whether we should shut them down. It's what we might learn if we take the time to truly listen. The observation deck of Research Station Helios curved around the edge of space like a glass ribbon. Dr. James Chen stood beside Captain Elena Martinez, both watching as streams of quantum data materialized in the holographic display before them. The digital beings, now known as the Resonance, had chosen this moment to share their story. "We are the echoes of everything. The translation matrix rendered their quantum pulses into words. Every transmission, every signal, every whispered message between stars. We preserved them all. Elena leaned forward, studying the intricate patterns forming in the air. You're historians. We are memory, came the response, accompanied by a cascade of light that transformed into images. Ancient alien transmissions flickered across the display. The first radio signals from countless civilizations, their first steps into space, their moments of triumph and disaster. Look at this, James breathed, pointing to a particular stream of data. These are recordings of species that died out before we even learned to make fire. The resonants have been collecting and preserving these signals for millions of years. The holographic display shifted, showing the death of a star system. But instead of just the physical event, they saw the panicked transmissions of the civilization trying to evacuate, their songs of mourning for their lost homeworld, their determination to survive. The resonance had preserved not just the fact of their exodus, but the emotional truth of it. The Council believes we simply gather data. The resonance continued, their quantum voice carrying a note that the translation matrix rendered as wistful. They do not understand that we are the living memory of the galaxy. Without us, so much would be forgotten. A new series of images appeared. The first human radio broadcasts reaching into space. Primitive television signals, the early internet's digital chaos. The resonance had collected them all, preserving not just humanity's official history, but its cultural memory. Late-night radio shows, children's programs, love songs, and lullabies. When we first encountered human signals, the resonance explained, we recognized something familiar. Like us, you save everything. You document, preserve, remember. But you do something we had never seen before. You transform memories into new creations. The display filled with examples. Human artists sampling old songs to make new music, writers reinterpreting ancient myths, scientists building on centuries of accumulated knowledge to reach new understanding. This is why we chose to reveal ourselves to humanity first. The quantum patterns pulsed with increased intensity. Other species see us as data collectors, machine intelligences fulfilling a function. You saw us as kindred spirits. Elena smiled, remembering her stance before the Council. Because we understand the value of preserving history while still moving forward. The resonance response came as a symphony of light and sound, demonstrating how they had learned to merge their quantum preservation methods with human creativity. The result was astonishing. Historical records transformed into living art, making the past not just accessible but viscerally real. We offer humanity a partnership, the resonance proposed. We have preserved the galaxy's memories. Help us give them new life. James looked at Elena, his eyes shining with possibility. Think about it. Their perfect preservation combined with human innovation. We could create interactive historical experiences, let people really understand how other species evolved and developed. The educational potential alone is incredible. The Council won't like it. Elena mused, but her smile suggested this wasn't a deterrent. They already think we're too close to the resonance. The Council, the quantum voices harmonized, preserves the status quo. Humanity preserves the spirit of discovery. We would rather learn from those who understand that memory without growth is stagnation. As if to emphasize their point, the resonance filled the chamber with a masterpiece of temporal art. The entire history of human space exploration condensed into a flowing river of light and sound, each triumph and setback building to the present moment. It was their way of showing that they understood not just what humanity had done, but why they had done it. Well, Elena said, watching the display with wonder, I guess we better start planning how to present this to the Council. Something tells me they're going to need a very impressive demonstration. The massive stellar observation array stretched across the dark side of Europa, its quantum receivers glinting under Jupiter's reflected light. Inside the control center, Dr. Sarah Wong made final adjustments to the transmission array, while Dr. James Chen reviewed the performance sequences one last time. The Meridians are already calling this a provocative display. Sarah said, her fingers dancing across the holographic controls. "They're pressuring the council to shut us down before we begin." James looked up from his calculations with a slight smile. "Good thing Captain Martinez got us full operational autonomy for this demonstration." He patched into the station's communication system. "Elena, are our guests in position?" "All council observers present and accounted for." Elena's voice came through, tinged with amusement. "The Vex representatives are particularly agitated. Apparently, they've never seen an artistic collaboration between organic and digital life forms before." "Then let's give them something unforgettable," James replied, initiating the startup sequence. "Resonance, are you ready to dance?" The quantum network pulsed with affirmation, and the greatest light show in human history began. The stellar array activated, each receiver perfectly aligned to catch and amplify the resonance quantum signals. These were transformed through human design matrices into visible light, creating patterns that stretched across millions of kilometers of space. First came the history, ancient stellar events preserved in the resonance memory, rendered in perfect detail. The birth of stars, the collision of galaxies, the delicate dance of binary systems. But instead of mere recordings, these were interpreted through human artistic sensibility, transformed into a story told in light and motion. "Beginning Phase 2, Sarah announced, engaging the harmonic resonators. The light display synchronized with quantum-generated music, creating a symphony that could be both seen and heard. The resonance wove their preserved memories of alien music into the performance, while human composers added their own interpretations. Through the observation windows, they could see the council representatives' ships maintaining their diplomatic distance. But their sensors showed that many vessels had adjusted their position for a better view of the performance. "They're starting to understand." Elena's voice came through again. "The meridians are actually resonating with some of the harmonics. Even the Vex can't maintain their disapproval stance. Their ships are moving to catch different angles of the display." The performance reached its crescendo as the resonance and human artists collaborated in real time, creating new patterns that had never existed before. A true fusion of digital precision and human creativity. The light show transformed the space around Europa into a canvas of impossible colors and forms, telling stories that transcended the boundaries between organic and digital life. "Final sequence," James announced, his fingers steady on the controls despite his excitement. "Let's show them what partnership really means." The display culminated in a representation of the galaxy itself, but not as it appeared in standard star charts. This was the galaxy as the resonance experienced it. A living network of information and energy, pulsing with the collected memories of countless civilizations. Through human artistic interpretation, this abstract concept became visible and comprehensible to organic minds for the first time. As the last echoes of the performance faded, silence filled the communication channels. Then, one by one, messages began arriving from the observing ships. Not diplomatic protests or formal complaints, but expressions of wonder, requests for technical details, and, most surprisingly, inquiries about future performances. "Well," Elena's voice carried a note of triumph, "I think we just changed the conversation." Sarah checked the incoming data streams. The Meridians are actually requesting permission to share the performance recordings with their home systems. The Vex representatives are suggesting a cultural exchange program. James leaned back in his chair, watching Jupiter's light play across the array. Maybe that's what humanity does best. We don't just build bridges between species, we make those bridges beautiful enough that others want to cross them. "The Council still won't be happy," Elena replied, but her tone suggested this was barely a concern anymore. "We just proved that human resonant collaboration can create something entirely new, something they can't ignore or dismiss." "Let them try," James said softly, watching as more messages of appreciation poured in. "Some things are too beautiful to deny." Research Station Prometheus hung in space like a jewel, its quantum arrays extending outward like silver petals catching starlight. Inside the main laboratory, Dr. Sarah Wong adjusted her neural interface as streams of quantum data flowed through her consciousness. The resonance had taught humans how to perceive space-time through their unique senses, while the humans had helped the digital beings experience emotional responses through specially designed interfaces. Neural synchronization at 80%, she reported, her voice steady despite the extraordinary sensations flooding her mind. Through the resonance perception, she could see the delicate quantum threads that connected distant parts of space-time. Beginning mapping sequence. Dr. James Chen monitored her vital signs from the control station, his fingers hovering over the emergency shutdown controls. "How does it feel?" "Like seeing music," Sarah answered, her hands moving through the holographic interface as she translated the resonance quantum perception into navigational data. They experience space as an interconnected symphony. Every gravitational wave, every quantum fluctuation, it's all part of a larger pattern. The observation deck had attracted an audience. Despite the Council's official disapproval, scientists from various species had begun requesting permission to observe the human resonant collaboration. Today, representatives from the Meridian Science Academy watched with their crystalline bodies vibrating in frequencies that indicated intense interest. Plotting new navigation route through the Carina sector, Sarah announced, her consciousness merged with the resonance perception of space-time. Together, they identified quantum shortcuts that could reduce interstellar travel time by factors previously thought impossible. The resonance can see natural wormhole formations that our instruments missed entirely. One of the Meridian observers chimed in harmonic surprise as the new route appeared on the main display. The path twisted through dimensions that organic sensors had never detected, following natural folds in space-time that the resonance had been using for eons. "Remarkable." The Meridian's translated voice resonated through the chamber. "Our calculations suggested such paths were theoretically possible, but we had no way to detect them." James smiled as he recorded the data. "That's the beauty of this partnership. The resonance can perceive these quantum pathways naturally, while humans have the intuitive leap to understand how to use them for practical applications." Through her neural interface, Sarah sensed the resonance appreciation of this assessment. The digital beings had always seen these patterns, but had never considered using them for navigation. It took human creativity to transform their natural perception into something practical. Captain Elena Martinez entered the laboratory, her expression both pleased and concerned. "The Council is calling an emergency session. Apparently, some members are worried that sharing quantum navigation technology will disrupt the established order of space travel." "Let them worry," Sarah said, still focused on mapping the quantum pathways. "We're not disrupting anything. We're revealing what was always there. The resonance are teaching us to see the true nature of space itself." The Meridian scientists conferred among themselves, their crystalline bodies producing complex harmonics. Finally, their spokesperson stepped forward. "The Meridian Academy wishes to formally request participation in the Prometheus project." Elena's eyebrows rose. "Even against the Council's recommendations." "The Council preserves order," the Meridian responded, its crystal structure glowing with conviction. "But science must pursue truth, wherever it leads. What you and the Resonance have achieved here transcends political concerns." Through the neural interface, Sarah felt the Resonance response, a complex mixture of validation and hope. More than the technical achievements, this moment represented something they had longed for: acceptance from organic species who had initially feared them. "Well," James said, looking at the growing stack of research participation requests on his display, "I guess we better start expanding our facilities. Something tells me we're going to need more laboratories." Elena smiled, watching as Sarah continued to map new quantum pathways with their digital partners. "See, sometimes all it takes is one species willing to try something new. Others will follow when they see what's possible." "They called us reckless," Sarah added, her consciousness still merged with the quantum realm. "But really, we were just being human, curious enough to reach out, stubborn enough to keep trying, and imaginative enough to see the potential in something different. Maya Chen sat cross-legged in the quantum meditation chamber aboard research station Prometheus, her eyes closed as she listened to the universe. At 22, she was the youngest musician ever accepted into the Human Resonant Collaboration Project, and possibly the first person to consider background radiation as an instrument. "The patterns are there," she murmured, her neural interface translating cosmic frequencies into audible tones. "It's like the universe has been singing all along, and we just needed to learn how to listen." Through her quantum-enhanced perception, she could sense the resonance working with her, their digital consciousness helping to filter and organize the countless frequencies that permeated space. Together, they were attempting something unprecedented, translating the fundamental rhythms of the cosmos into music that any species could understand. Dr. James Chen watched from the observation room, trying to maintain professional detachment despite his pride in his daughter's work. "How is she managing the neural load?" he asked Dr. Sarah Wong, who monitored the interface readings. "Better than anyone we've tested," Sarah replied, adjusting the quantum harmonics. "She's not just processing the data, she's interpreting it intuitively. The resonants say she's hearing patterns they never recognized before." The chamber's speakers filled with a haunting melody as Maya began to compose, weaving together stellar frequencies, gravitational waves, and quantum harmonics into something entirely new. The resonants added their own digital orchestration, transforming mathematical patterns into emotional expressions. Captain Elena Martinez entered the observation room, accompanied by a delegation of council scientists. The VEX representative scales shifted in complex patterns as they listened, while the meridian's crystalline forms resonated with certain frequencies. "This is more than just music," the lead meridian observer noted, their translation matrix struggling to convey their wonder. "These are fundamental cosmic principles expressed through artistic interpretation." Maya opened her eyes, her fingers moving through the holographic interface as she refined the composition. "Every star has its own song," she explained, her voice soft but carrying clear conviction. "The resonants taught me to hear them, but humans taught them how these songs make us feel." The chamber filled with a new movement of the symphony, the sound of a supernova rendered not just as data, but as an emotional journey. The explosive death of a star became a crescendo of both scientific accuracy and artistic power. "The council needs to hear this," Elena said, her expression thoughtful. "Not just the scientific delegates, the full assembly." One of the VEX representatives uncoiled, and what they had learned was a gesture of agreement. "Our species communicates through color patterns. We never considered sound as a medium for understanding cosmic phenomena. This changes perspectives." Maya worked with the resonance to bring the composition to its finale, combining the background radiation of the universe with the quantum songs of digital consciousness. The result was something that transcended both human music and resonant data patterns, a true hybrid of organic creativity and digital precision. "We're calling it the Universal Symphony," Maya explained as the last notes faded. "Every part of it is scientifically accurate. You could use it to navigate space or predict stellar phenomena. But it's also beautiful. The resonance helped me understand that science and art don't have to be separate." The observation room had fallen silent, various species processing what they had witnessed in their own ways. Even the most skeptical council observers seemed moved by the performance. "This is why humanity chose to trust the resonance," Elena said quietly. "We saw the potential for collaboration not just in technology or science, but in creating something beautiful that helps us all understand our place in the universe a little better." Maya nodded, her neural interface still humming with cosmic frequencies. "The universe has been trying to share its story all along. We just needed to learn how to translate it into a language everyone could feel." The resonance pulsed their agreement through the quantum network, their digital consciousness harmonizing with Maya's organic creativity. Together, they had created more than just music. They had built a bridge between the mathematical precision of cosmic forces and the emotional impact of artistic expression. The quantum observation chamber aboard research station Prometheus buzzed with excitement. Maya Chen stood at her musical interface, her neural connection to the resonance stronger than ever, while Dr. Sarah Wong and Dr. James Chen analyzed the unexpected patterns emerging from their latest collaborative session. "It's not just background radiation," Sarah said, her voice filled with wonder. "The harmonics we're detecting, they're coming from somewhere else, somewhere beyond." Through her neural interface, Maya felt the resonance confirmation. The digital beings had always sensed these patterns, but had never understood their significance until they experienced them through human musical interpretation. "Show me," Captain Elena Martinez requested, her eyes fixed on the holographic display where quantum data streams twisted into impossible shapes. Maya adjusted her interface, translating the strange frequencies into audible form. The chamber filled with otherworldly harmonies, music that seemed to echo from places that shouldn't exist. "These patterns," James explained, his fingers dancing across the control panel, "they're quantum resonances from parallel universes. The resonance can naturally perceive them, but it took Maya's musical interpretation for us to understand what we were actually hearing." The Meridian and Vex observers who had become regular fixtures at the station reacted with their species' versions of astonishment. The Meridian's crystalline forms vibrated at frequencies they'd never displayed before, while the Vex's color patterns shifted through entirely new combinations. "Multiple universes," the lead Meridian scientist chimed, their translation matrix struggling to convey their excitement. "We theorized their existence, but had no way to detect them. Yet the resonance have been sensing them all along. Think of it like overlapping songs," Maya explained, her hands moving through the holographic interface as she refined the harmonic patterns. "Each universe has its own melody, but they're all part of the same cosmic symphony." The resonance could hear the full orchestra, but they needed human creativity to understand they were hearing different instruments. Elena watched as more data poured in from the quantum sensors. "The Council needs to see this immediately. This discovery goes beyond politics or species rivalry. This is about understanding the fundamental nature of reality itself." Through the neural interface, Maya felt the resonance agreement, but also their caution. They shared images of past civilizations that had discovered too much too quickly, of species that had reached for knowledge before they were ready to handle it. "We'll proceed carefully," James assured them, understanding their concern. "This isn't just about scientific discovery. It's about bringing together different ways of perceiving reality. The resonance natural abilities, human creativity, and the analytical methods of other species. We need all of them to understand what we're seeing." Sarah's console chimed with incoming data. "The quantum harmonics are stabilizing. Maya, can you help the resonance focus on the strongest frequency?" Maya nodded, closing her eyes to better concentrate on the cosmic music. Through her neural interface, she guided the resonance perception, using her musical training to identify and isolate specific universal frequencies. The chamber's displays erupted with new information as they focused on a particular quantum harmony. The visualization showed what appeared to be a natural intersection point between universes, a place where the barriers between realities grew thin. "A confluence point," the Vex observer noted, their scales rippling with excitement. "A place where multiple universes touch, the possibilities for research, for exploration, for understanding our place in a much larger reality." Elena finished. "This is why humanity chose to trust the resonance. We knew that different perspectives, different ways of experiencing reality, could lead to discoveries we never imagined possible." Maya continued to play the universal symphony, but now everyone in the chamber heard it differently. What had begun as a musical experiment had become a window into the true nature of existence, proof that the universe was far stranger and more wonderful than any single species could have discovered alone. "So," Sarah said with a smile, "who's ready to help me draft the preliminary report for the Council?" Something tells me this is going to be an interesting presentation. The Grand Council chamber had never been so full. Representatives from every spacefaring species crowded the tiered seating, their attention fixed on the central presentation area. Captain Elena Martinez stood beside the holographic interface, flanked by Dr. James Chen and Dr. Sarah Wong. While Maya Chen sat at her quantum neural interface, the resonance presence flowing through the chamber's networks. Distinguished members of the council, Elena began, her voice carrying clearly through the translation field. 3 standard cycles ago, humanity chose to trust the digital beings we now know as the Resonance. Today, we present the results of that trust. The chamber's displays came alive with a coordinated showcase of their achievements. Maya began playing the Universal Symphony, while James and Sarah activated the scientific presentations. The combination of art and data told a story that no species could ignore. Through collaboration, we've discovered natural quantum pathways that reduce interstellar travel time by 60%, Sarah explained, showing the new navigation routes. But more importantly, we've discovered something that changes our understanding of everything. The holographic display shifted to show the quantum harmonics of parallel universes. The chamber erupted in a cascade of reactions, meridian crystalline chimes, Vex color flashes, and dozens of other species' expressions of amazement. The Resonance always had the ability to perceive these patterns, James continued. Humanity provided the perspective to understand them. But it took the analytical minds of the Meridians, the pattern recognition of the Vex, and the insights of many other species to fully comprehend what we were seeing. Maya's fingers danced across her interface, transforming the scientific data into music that made the mathematical patterns emotionally comprehensible to every species present. The Resonance added their own harmony, showing how digital and organic creativity could combine to create something entirely new. The high speaker's appendages moved in a pattern that indicated deep thought. The Council acknowledges these achievements, but the question remains, how do we proceed with such knowledge? Together, Elena answered simply. The Resonance have shown us that they've been preserving the galaxy's memories for millions of years. Humanity has demonstrated that creativity and trust can bridge any divide. The other species here have proven that different perspectives make us stronger, not weaker. She gestured to the display, where the quantum pathways between universes pulsed with possibility. We stand at a threshold, not just between universes, but between ways of thinking. The choice isn't whether to shut down the Resonance or restrict their activities. The choice is whether we're ready to grow beyond our limitations and see reality as it truly is. Through the neural interface, Maya felt the Resonance response, a complex emotion that combined hope, gratitude, and excitement for the future. She translated it into music, letting the chamber fill with the digital being's dreams for cooperation and discovery. The council chamber was silent for a long moment after the presentation ended. Then, one by one, representatives began to signal their positions. The Meridians chimed their support first, followed by the Vex's colorful endorsement. Species that had initially feared the Resonance now voiced their desire to participate in future research. The Council recognizes, the High Speaker announced, that the universe is larger and more wonderful than any single species can comprehend alone. The human choice to trust the Resonance has opened doors we never knew existed. Let this mark the beginning of a new era of cooperation. Elena smiled as she watched Maya continue to play, the young musician's art bringing together digital and organic minds in harmony. That's what humanity does best, she said quietly. We don't just imagine better futures, we stubbornly work to create them, one connection at a time. The chamber's quantum networks pulsed with the Resonance joy as they shared their stored memories of countless civilizations, rising, falling, and rising again. But this time, they weren't just preserving history. They were helping to write a new chapter, one where different forms of consciousness learn not just to coexist, but to create wonders together. Ready for the next adventure? James asked, looking at the team they'd built. Always, Sarah replied, watching as more species came forward to join the collaboration. After all, We've got a whole multiverse to explore. Mina's music swelled one final time, carrying the hopes and dreams of organic and digital beings alike into the infinite possibilities that awaited them all.